Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're tackling a topic that maybe sounds a bit dry, home insurance.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly scream excitement.
Right. But honestly, it's one of the most critical things protecting, well, maybe your biggest investment, your home.
Absolutely. And it's surprisingly complex. Way more than most people realize, I think.
That's what we hear. A lot of assumptions, maybe some costly mistakes down the line.
Exactly. Costly is the word. People think they're covered for X, Y, Z, and then, uh-oh.
So our mission today, we want to cut through that, get past the brochure basics.
Think of it as a shortcut. We'll give you the insider view, point out the gaps, the stuff you really need to know.
So you can move from just having insurance to actually understanding it.
Precisely. It's about knowing what's covered, sure, but maybe even more importantly, what's not, and why that matters for your finances.
Okay, let's dive in. So, the basics. Everyone kind of gets that home insurance covers the big stuff, right?
Yeah, the obvious things. Fire, burglary, maybe a big storm rips your roof off.
And liability, too, if someone slips on your icy steps or something.
Correct. That's the standard package, more or less. Protection for the structure, your belongings, and liability.
But that's where it gets interesting, isn't it? That standard package isn't quite the safety net people often imagine.
Far from it. And what's, well, fascinating, maybe a little scary, is how many common disasters just aren't included.
Right. Things that seem like they should be covered.
Things that catch even really savvy homeowners by surprise.
Okay, let's name names.
What?
What are these shocking gaps, the big exclusions?
Well, the classic one is floods. It's almost never in a standard policy. Doesn't matter if it's rising rivers or storm surge.
You need totally separate flood insurance for that.
Totally separate. FEMA's NFIP program, or increasingly private insurers, offer it.
Yeah.
But you have to actively buy it.
And it's not just floods, right?
Nope. Earthquakes are another major exclusion. If you're in an earthquake zone, you need a specific add-on, an earthquake rider.
Okay, floods, earthquakes. What else trips people up?
This one might be the sneakiest. Sewer backup.
Yeah. That sounds messy and expensive.
Extremely. Think basement full of sewage because the city line backed up or your drain failed. It happens more than you'd think.
Especially with older pipes or heavy rain.
Exactly. And unless you have a specific endorsement added to your policy, you're paying for that cleanup and repair yourself.
That could be tens of thousands, easily.
Easily. And it feels like it should be covered under water damage, but nope. Specific exclusion.
It just highlights how crucial reading the fine print is. Okay, let's pivot slightly. A big misconception people have, insuring for market value.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge one. People see their Zillow estimate and think, that's what I need to insure for.
But that's wrong. Why?
Because market value includes the land. It includes your location, the school district, all that stuff.
Stuff that doesn't burn down.
Exactly. If your house is gone, the land is still there. What insurance needs to cover is the cost to rebuild the actual structure.
So labor, materials.
Right. Lumber, concrete, roofing, wiring, plumbers, electricians, plus debris removal. And those costs fluctuate wildly.
Especially after a disaster when demand spikes.
Precisely. So you need to insure for replacement cost, not market value. It's a critical difference.
That makes sense. Replacement cost. Got it.
So sticking with what you do need, let's talk add-ons. Things that maybe seem optional but could be lifesavers.
Absolutely. We mentioned separate flood insurance. That's non-negotiable if you're at risk.
What else?
Well, think about identity theft protection. It's often offered as a small add-on.
How does that fit with home insurance?
It covers the cost associated with restoring your identity if it's stolen. Legal fees, lost wages, document replacement. It can be a nightmare to sort out alone.
Okay, that's interesting. What about protecting the structure itself beyond the basic limit?
That's where extended dwelling coverage comes in. This is super important, especially now.
Why especially now?
Because construction costs have been so volatile. If there's a major storm or fire, and rebuilding costs suddenly surge 20% higher than expected.
Your standard limit might not be enough. Exactly. Extended dwelling gives you an extra cushion, usually 20%, sometimes 25%, or even more, above your policy limit. It can literally be the difference between rebuilding fully or facing a massive shortfall.
Wow, okay. That feels necessary, not optional. Any other surprise essentials?
Yeah. Equipment breakdown coverage. This is becoming more relevant.
What's that cover? Like the lawnmower?
Huh. Not usually a lawnmower. Think bigger systems, your HVAC, your furnace, water heater, maybe even major appliances like your fridge or built-in oven, smart home systems too.
So if they just break down mechanically or electrically, not from a fire or storm.
Correct. Standard policies cover perils like fire. Equipment breakdown instead of mechanical failure. For a few bucks extra a year, it can save you thousands on replacing a fried air conditioner or something.
Okay, that's definitely worth looking into. All right, let's shift gears to strategy, deductibles. Everyone knows higher deductible equals lower premium, but what's the smart play?
Finding the sweet spot is key. You know, a $1,000 deductible is pretty common, and it often gives a good balance for many people in the U.S.
Why $1,000 specifically?
It tends to offer a noticeable premium reduction compared to, say, $500, but it's an amount most homeowners could probably cover from savings without derailing their lives.
So the real question is about your emergency fund.
Exactly. The deductible you choose should be an amount you could comfortably pay out of pocket tomorrow without major financial stress. If you have a really robust emergency fund, maybe $2,500 or $5,000 makes sense for bigger premium savings.
But only if you genuinely have that cash liquid and ready.
Absolutely. Don't pick a high deductible just to save $10 a month if you couldn't actually pay it when needed. Match it to your real financial situation.
Good advice. Match the deductible to your emergency fund.
Okay, beyond deductibles, how else can people save smart money on premiums? Without cutting vital coverage, obviously.
Bundling is the big one. Home and auto insurance with the same company almost always gets you a discount, sometimes a pretty significant one.
That feels like a no-brainer. Usually is. Then, think risk reduction. Anything you do to make your home safer can potentially lower your premium.
Like smoke detectors.
Yes, especially smart or monitored ones. Carbon monoxide detectors. A monitored security system, burglary, fire alerts. Insurers like things that reduce the chance they'll have to pay a claim.
Makes sense. What else?
Your credit score, surprisingly. Many insurers use a credit-based insurance score. It's not your FICO exactly, but related.
Why does credit matter for home insurance?
Statistics, basically. Insurers found a correlation. People who manage credit well tend to file fewer claims. So better credit management can sometimes mean lower rates.
Interesting. Anything else on the savings front?
Don't get complacent. Shop around every year, or at least every couple of years.
Just because your current company was cheapest last year doesn't mean they are this year?
Exactly. Rates change. Companies' risk appetites change. Get quotes. And while loyalty discounts are nice, don't assume they're the best deal. A new customer offer elsewhere might still beat it.
Always worth checking. Okay, let's make this real. We had a listener share a story. A kitchen fire. Really highlights some of these points.
Yes, this story is, well, it's a tough lesson about understanding your contents coverage. The fire caused significant damage. Her dwelling coverage for the structure was mostly okay.
But her belongings.
That's where the shock came. Her policy covered her personal property based on actual cash value, or ACV.
Okay, what does ACV mean in practice?
It means depreciation. So, that couch she bought 10 years ago for $2,000. The insurance company might say it's only worth, say, $300 today because of its age and wear.
Ouch. So they pay the depreciated value, not what it costs to buy a new one.
Correct. And because so much in her kitchen was damaged, appliances, cabinets, all her stuff, the ACV payout ended up covering only about half, maybe 50% of what it actually cost her to replace everything.
That's a massive, unexpected out-of-pocket hit.
Huge. And completely avoidable if she'd had replacement cost value RCV coverage for her contents.
RCV pays to replace items with new similar items.
Yes. It costs a bit more in premium, but it means you can actually replace your belongings without draining your savings after a disaster.
So the big takeaway there is, know if you have ACV or RCV for your stuff. And review your policy regularly.
Annually, at minimum. And definitely review it after big life changes, major purchases, renovations. Even getting married or having kids changes your needs. Your coverage isn't static.
It really drives home the point. Home insurance can be this amazing safety net.
Or it can be a false sense of security if you don't truly understand what you've bought.
The difference really is in the details, in knowing what's in that policy document.
Absolutely. So the call to action here is be proactive. Talk to your agent. Ask specific questions.
Like, do I have ACV or RCV on contents? What exactly is excluded under water damage? Do I need a sewer backup endorsement?
Yes, compare quotes, read the summaries, dig in a little, understand what you're paying for. It's the smart way to protect what's likely your biggest asset.
Protect your home, protect your financial future.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Looking ahead, think about future risks.
Like climate change.
Yeah, how might changing weather patterns affect flood risk or storm severity in your area over the next decade? Or think about technology. Smart homes are becoming more common.
With complex, expensive, integrated systems.
Exactly. How might the increasing cost and complexity of repairing that tech influence your need for things like equipment breakdown coverage? What steps could you take today, maybe discussing these future possibilities with your agent to make sure your insurance keeps pace down the road?